Hello and welcome to Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. I'm here to assist you in your life's journey, honoring your truth, honoring mine, and knowing that we all are going through some big changes. So I'm here to give you some perspectives on how to negotiate the world around you. And many of us are struggling with, where do I go from here? And I know that a lot of people have been negotiating some of this. I've had a couple sessions that have asked, I'm feeling just kind of discombobulated right now. I'm so like off right now. I'm so in this moment right now. And I'm going to be helping just kind of give you an understanding about that we're in the midst of this big change. And I've been feeling, even my husband said the other day, that, I feel this big change coming up, and he's intuitive in his own way. But then at the same time, though, it's like he's still kind of finding his own way. And so we're all waking up into our own intuitiveness. We're all waking up into our own stories. We're waking up into a lot of our understandings. And I, being an intuitive medium, personal, personal awareness type coach who really supports you in your life's journey, that I really love to support people in their life. And you know, it's a moment. It's a moment. Where are we at right now? Where are we doing right now? We're kind of in that middle of, a lot of changes. So if you're feeling discombobulated, that's okay. We just had a full moon that was pretty powerful. Pluto's in retrograde. We've had some, oh gosh, since before COVID, we've been like on this road of just like, what the heck is going on right now, right? What the heck is going on right now? And if we can, it's about honoring who we are. So it's coming back to who we are, because without us, we're not going to be going anywhere, right? Without us, we're not going to be the I that I am. We're not going to be going anywhere. So a lot of this awakening that we're going through, a lot of these understandings, and I hope that anyone who it was and is a woman felt very honored on Mother's Day. But I also know that, like, I was just having a wonderful conversation with a wonderful friend of mine that we haven't seen in about a year, that we always have these like chill moments where we're just like, things are shifting and changing around us, that I know for me, my Mother's Day was a blessing, but it was a weird one. And I know that I heard a lot of that from a lot of people, that it was just kind of a weird day. And it was almost set up for a lot of us to talk about our old stories. Like I did a video where I talked about my Mother's Day, where, my Mother's Days in the past, whatever that may be for some people, that, it was like when my husband was drinking so bad that he had these expectations for the kids. Well, why don't you know how to wash the car? Don't you know how to wash a car? Well, no, but they were never taught. Don't you know how to, don't you know how to, do the dishes? Well, sometimes I didn't take the time to show them how to do the dishes well, because of the fact that it was like, try to get it done, make peace in the house. So, it's one of those moments where, sometimes those old stories come back through, come back in, and we're really in this moment of life of uncovering those old stories that we have had to heal what we are. Now, sometimes they come in very, very quietly and very, kind of like secretively. And you're kind of like going, why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling this way? And I know that many times when we are going through some of these stories, that we get hard on ourselves. Well, why didn't I make a different decision? Why didn't I do this? And this, I'm talking about today, about where do we go in life? This is how do we really decide how we're going to go through life. It's interesting how, if you can take the mirror and or the magnifying glass, or the window, and see, what is the world trying to show you, right? What is the world really trying to show you? What is your universe? The ones that you believe in. What are they trying to show you to negotiate where to go next? And sometimes we don't know. Like, we have these instincts. Like, I have a feeling something's going to happen, but I don't know if it's going to be. It's an if question, right? And like the other day, my husband was saying, I feel like this big change is going to happen, and aren't you anxious about it? Don't you have anxiety about it? And I go, no, actually, I don't, because I don't know what change is yet. Until I know what it is, I'm not going to I can't get anxious about it. I've learned that about myself, that why should I stress out about something that I know is going to happen, but I don't know what it is? And I know that I got enough tools in me from what I've gone through that I can negotiate it. Now, I may not do it with all the grace and ease that I'd wish for and having some pre-telling on it, because I can tell you that a lot of times we don't know what's going to happen because the universe is full of people. It's full of people, and the people make those decisions. And we can get that intuitive hit that something might happen. But until those people make the decision, a lot of times we don't know what that decision is going to be. And so that's that stretch and pull moment. So in this show today, I'm going to be channeling Mikael, who's a star being. He chose to come to me. I kind of give people an understanding of who he is by, if you know who Bashar is, and who, I forget the man who wonderfully channels him, that what his name is, but Bashar comes through and gives guidance, and Mikael is right in that area. Now, remembering that when I channel, that I am one who channels through my being, my understanding, and the language that I use. And so as Bashar has been channeling through this gentleman for years, many, they've come to a conversation together, right? So actually when he's not channeling, they use a lot of the same language. Well, Mikael and I have just been doing this since basically Christmas time, I think. So we're getting to know each other a little bit differently, and I know that he's been a guide for me. So that's going to be coming up probably about 30 in the show. But I wanted to give you some ideas in the understanding and the intuition that I have about how, that right now we're in the moment where it's about discerning. So if you know the word discernment is about that stretch and pull conversation about how are we? How do we feel about ourselves? How do we feel about others? How do we discern? How do we hear other people? How do we hear the universe? How do we negotiate the world around us? And it's that discernment piece. It's that discernment piece is like almost taking out, like taking this card and looking at it and really looking at what it's about, right? So discernment is to look about it and see, is my perception more able to negotiate this? Is my perspective able to negotiate this? And so with that when you're looking at something, how does that, so that's discernment. So how do you look at it? How can you express it? Should you express it? And that kind of thing. So that discerning piece, so that discernment piece is really discerning through our own self. How do we feel about things? How do we negotiate something? Because a lot of times, unless we know who we are, we can't move forward. And the universe can't trust us to move forward. Right. And, it's a moment. So like for me, I've been feeling like there's something off. Well, my girlfriend being here, she noticed something was off and she gave me some clarity on it. So there again is a moment where, sometimes you can feel like something's going to happen, but until you get clarity, you have to wait sometimes for the universe to give you information to move forward. And that's where a lot of us get stuck is that we don't know how to interpret the universe. We don't know how to interpret the energies around us. We don't know how to interpret the story of where we're at. And that's what I'd like to help you with a little bit today. Okay, so as we're going forward and into the energies of today, it's about the universe is really here. Like the other day, I walked out of the house. It was a day where I knew that I was going to have this logistic to do. Then I came home and wanted to do this logistic. And then I had to zoom out of the house and have this logistic. And then I would come home and have whatever happened at the end of the day. And I knew it was going to be a boom, 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 boom. But what did I do? As I was walking out to get to my car, on the path, there was a snail and then there was a slug. So two things that represented time to go slower, time to be where you're at, time to really look at what you're doing, to munch on those nutritious things that are around you. Now, a lot of people don't like slugs. A lot of people don't like snails, but a snail actually is a slug, but with a shell. So how can I have my protection around me? How can I support myself with good protection, with love, with kindness? Right? That I have a home, that I have an understanding, that I have an insight in myself. So those slugs so it's about moving slow, be where you're at, take advantage of what are you witnessing in your life, right? So as I'm walking around the house, thinking about my day, what it might be, there's a question of where it might be, because it's going to play out the way it's going to play out. But how do I interact with it? So interacting with it, I really went into, okay, slug message, snail message. Okay, I'm going to get in my car, drive to where I'm supposed to be, and then do what I'm supposed to do. And I did send a text in the middle of this and that, and I witnessed that I didn't do it as well as I should have had, or I could have done, right? So there again is another thing that told me, wait a minute, before you push send, reread something, especially if you're in the middle of this and that. So the universe is going to tell you things, show you things that that of being respectful about what is where to go next. And that's where, sometimes we're hard on ourselves about things. And we got to negotiate, how can we settle ourselves down? So like for me, my girlfriend just left right before the show, had to run up and get my computer, come down, get on the show just a few minutes late. Okay, that's a moment, right? So now you're finding me settling myself in, doing what I'm meant to do, and talking about what I'm meant to talk about. Because there's this part of me that knows what to do. And that's the thing that people forget, that there's a part of them that knows what to do. That could be your soul. That can be your higher self. That can be your guides. That could be your energy field. That could be a part of you that just has the tools because you've gone through something, that knows what to do. Okay, so honor yourself about where you're at and what you're doing. And, we are in the middle of change. We have these the cosmos, those stars way out there, the planetary systems, the solar systems that are way out there, right? They're way out there. Hi, Paula. Thank you for being here. They are changing. And I like, probably Mikael will talk about this, but I'm hearing that from the star beings, that whatever change is happening on this planet, there's other Earths out there that are changing just like we are. Maybe not in the same way because they're in their own understanding, but they're changing just because of the ripple effect. If one person changes, everybody changes. It's inevitable. It may be a slow ripple in the energies of the world, but yet it is. And then we have the planet changings, things happening in retrograde, full moons, new moons, whatever that may be. Then we have the government changing. Our world is changing. The hierarchy of our world is changing, I'm getting intuitively, right? So that hierarchy is changing. And then we have, the government of our own countries changing, and the world's around us, things from Mexico and the United States, or Canada, since I'm in the United States here, that's changing. And then we have our jobs are changing. So the closer outer world, like grocery stores are changing. Like there's one grocery store or one place where we get our dog, our pet food stuff, right? And they flipped the store totally over. So there again is something outside of me is changing. Then our house is changing. Things in our house are changing. A lot of us are going through things. Some of us are negotiating some of our old stories. Some of us are having really bad days and then really good days. So there's that world. And then we have our inner world, this inner world of our mind and our intuition. I know a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are doing this. But like I said in a session that I had the other day, that, she says, I've been asked to be more spiritual, more, I'm supposed to level up, right? I'm supposed to level up. Who is telling you that nobody needs to level up? Sometimes it's enough just to deal with the 3D world that we're in. But the thing is, though, how do you deal with the 3D world that we're in? How do you negotiate the world that we're in? How do we apply the knowings that we're in this world that we're in? We have a choice to be on social media. We have a choice to go do this over here. We have a choice to do that over there. So there's a lot of choices right now. And what do we work with them with? So, like Veronica here, I know that you've been making some big leaps and changes, that you felt this change coming on now for like the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not going to name it or claim it, but so that's your story. I'm not going to say that, but there's that. So a lot of us are feeling like we have to do certain things for something that might happen next year. We don't know. So if I can give you anything today, yeah, as you said, it's one of those things. So, all we can do really is in the moment that we're called to do something, be ready to do it. And the universe will tell us by giving us a nudge, giving us this understanding. Like for me, doing my intuitive work, I've been doing it. And yes, it's something that's been important to me. Yes, it's been a calling of me. And I was kind of like going, should I cut back my hours a little bit? Should I be? And then all of a sudden, I was reposted on the Next Level Soul, right? And that opened up a whole new world for me. So me doing that or being ready for that, I was very like, here I am. I'm ready to receive because I've done the work to get there. Now to do the work to get there, excuse me, to do the work to get there, it's about being observant to the world around you. The snails, the slugs in the world, the birds in the world, the knowings in the world, the conversations in the world, the understandings that are in the world that we're supposed to. This is what your team has asked for you to do, right? And I'm going to use the word supposed to because it came out of my mouth, but we're supposed to just breathe about a lot of this because we are in the moment, what we can do as the human. And I know for me that when my dad passed away, he was saying, Natasha, do this, Natasha, do that, Natasha, do this, Natasha, do that. I said, Dad, please stop. I'm still human, having to do with what I got to deal with in front of me. Right? And so coming into this, sometimes we need to actually take a breath and slow down. So that's one way to really tap into what you are doing is check in. What is the intention that you're in? Like some people say, should I change my job? I don't know. Should you? Does it feel right to you? Does it have a calling to you? Now, doing a private session, I can give you more insight. But doing the overall blanket statement here, that, it's like, think about it. What is your intention when you walk in the door? Are you checked out? Are you not available? Are you out of integrity about doing your job? Are you not putting in some things? Now, I talked last week about boundaries. So this is a little bit different than boundaries. Because boundaries, yes, you can have. I'm not going to put energy into things that don't want to give me energy. But all at the same time, though, like for me, when I'm having boundaries with somebody, I still have the intention of being kind. I still have the intention of doing the right thing. I still have the intention of, should I speak more or less? Do I have the intention of having these moments where I'm still in hurt? So check in with your intention, because sometimes we can revive ourselves in a job by shifting our intention, which is shifting our perspective, right? So coming into how do you do that? Because it's like, how do I put energy into something that I feel like is going to end? Well, walk out with your head held high. Sometimes we need to leave someplace. But like when I left my ex-husband, I gave 3 months. I gave 3 months to see if he was going to change up. Now, I put an intention of trying. I put the intention of communication. I put the intention of valuing. I put the intention of a lot of different things, being more available, able to enlighten a little bit more. But after that 3 months, I noticed that he didn't change. No matter what I did, he didn't change. So I changed my intention. I made sure that my intention was more on the upper right side. I'm not saying right or wrong. That's not about that. But for me, in my integrity, in my knowings, I felt good about who I was when I said, finally, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Because I walked out of that relationship with my head held high. Now, I was still in my early 20s, so my self-esteem was a little bit still tanked. This was before my parents passed away, so I was still shy, quiet, not really, energetically myself, right? And because I was evolving still, I hadn't evolved a whole bunch. And in that moment when you are honoring who you are with the intention that you have, and when you finally say, I'm done. Like I was talking to somebody this morning and she said, I can't do this anymore. It's a position that she has in our school. I can't do this anymore. I said, because you're done. It's done. That moment is done. And she was trying to make excuses for it. And I said, you don't have to make any excuses. When it's done, it's done. And that's big enough for it. Now, what are you going to do on the other side of that done? What are the steps? So we had some conversation about what's in the contract, what language she might want to use, that kind of thing. Because that's one thing I'm going to tell you, that when you're ready to make a decision, the universe really, if you are observant, will put things and people in your life to give you the conversations around it. Will give you information enough for you to move forward, to make yourself good about things. Okay. So having these moments where you can negotiate the world around you, and I just got a hit that I need to do for her. So after the show, I'll maybe do that. So if you are in the middle of feeling like something is going to change and you don't know where to go, remember the universe will guide you if you're willing and you're able to negotiate that. So another way that you can really tune into this, and another way that you can hone into who you are and what you're doing, is by feeling confident that you can make the decision when you need to. Feeling confident. Because if you're not confident enough, let's say to change a job, you're not confident enough, let's say to buy a new car. If you're not confident enough, then it's not time to do that. Because sometimes if we change our intention of how we're doing it, when we change the negotiation of how we're doing it, when we look at things with a little bit more enlightenment, many a times we can see the value in staying just a little bit longer until we have something to replace it, until we have that negotiation to replace it. And, we can have doubts no matter where we're at. We can have these moments because we're all human, and it's about having doubts. I could have done another year of that. I could have done, but actually, like this coworker that I was talking to, she was done last year and she tried to do this year, and she's at the end of that journey with that person, with that interaction. So being willing to check in, and that's sometimes where some people can make a list of the things that they can do around that. Like there was some conversations today when I was on break, and I'm around teachers, and they were teaching, and they were like going, I don't know if I'm going to do this for 30 years. And one teacher said, I think I'm going to do it. She's at her 7th year, and she says, I think I'm going to do it for another, until I'm 10 years. I'm going to revalue that. And so sometimes we get these hints of can I do this for a long time? But one thing that the conversation did, and I was so proud of this conversation, so proud of them, is that they started saying, if you say you're a teacher on a resume, there isn't much that will apply to something else. But the thing is, though, teachers know how to do computer work. Teachers know how to manage personalities. They can call a personality out walking in a grocery store. They can negotiate stressful situations in a different light. They have ways of management. Not every, like a kindergarten teacher, you have to be careful not to kindergarten teacher adults, right? But I don't know, some adults are like kindergartners in my eyes. Sending love, sending light, asking for divine healing on this, right? Because, it is a thing. It is a moment. And some people aren't all enlightened. Some people aren't all enlightened. And that's the moment. That's a moment. And you know what? I got distracted for a moment right there because I just saw myself in my video and my dad's picture over there and my dad's view. My dad's been gone now. Let's see, Scott is 33 years old. He's now gone 33 years. And I saw my dad in my face. Ooh, that was a moment. Okay. Woo. I don't know if you felt that today, but I'm saying that time is changing today. Things are shifting. We have gone through a huge shift in the realities around us. Like my friend who was here, she was saying there was almost a line in the energy around us, right? So things are changing around us left and right. And until we know what that change is, all we can really do is manage it. And if your emotions are triggered right now, oh, hallelujah. It's about finding them. It's about getting to know them, about hearing them. It's about talking to them because they are value. I know for me, I have found my anger lately, and it's created a nice boundary for me. Now, am I throwing that in other people's face? Am I angry at everybody? No. But I can sure tell you that it's a statement of saying, no, not in my house. So use these emotions for their better good. They are here to help us. So if you're getting frustrated about something, that's usually the universe telling you something needs to change in it. Something needs to change in that. And like I was talking with somebody else today, boy, conversations today were so insightful about helping somebody else. And this person is yelling and screaming. They're younger, so yelling and screaming at them. And they're trying to be a good parent in the middle of this. But she was doing a great job by saying, you can't yell and scream at me. That's not right. And then there's been these other things that are like going forward. And, it's a moment. It's a moment of embracing and honoring who you are. Boundaries. Go out and run if you need to get rid of this energy, like she was telling her daughter. Go run, get rid of this energy, then come back and discuss. Because that interaction of honoring who you are is the movement to your next situation. And that's the thing is that when we are in the middle of knowing if we need to change a job, if we know who we are, if we know that I have to get out of this relationship, that many a times if we can come back, sit back and understand our emotions, find out what is the intention around this need for change. And like I've been feeling like I have a cat box that's in this room, and I'm almost like getting a feeling that cat box needs to go in the bathroom, and then find a way to make sure that the shower door opens up so far to get the cat out of this room, right? So there's this change that wants to happen, but I haven't gotten done with the logistics. Can you tell I'm getting downloads? Because I'm jumping around and I apologize. But in these downloads, in these understandings, in these moments of shifting and changing, the wisdom will come to you. Everyone's intuitive. Everybody has insights. Like Paula, you got the insight to move from Florida to Arizona, right? So you got that push to do that. What led you up to that? It wasn't a day and night situation. It was conversations with your kids. It was conversations splitting up with certain relationships. It was feeling like that energy, the land around you wasn't home anymore. It was all about feelings. It's the senses. What is your senses telling you lately? What is your smell telling you? Something off. Is your eyes shifting that something's not quite right? Is your taste a little bit like, oh, it's time to change that food that I'm eating? And, sometimes we can hear things like if we're hearing the toxicity of a relationship, we're finally hearing it in a different way. Well, we're going to know that it's almost time to leave that relationship or find a way to successfully do it. Because I can tell you, in that 3 months, going back to the conversation I had about my ex-husband, in those 3 months, I did certain things. I checked on my finances. I got my feet underneath me. I had conversation with my parents because I'd had to move back with them. It's like all these different things I had logistic conversation around. So that when I made that decision, I had the ability to make it. Right? Oh, 20 plus years in the making. Sometimes decisions aren't a snap decision. Sometimes they're not a snap decision. And so coming into this, we sometimes have these times that happen. And why do we get hit with something? Now, like for me, I had a hit back in October, September, October, actually the whole summer, and then into October, that something was going to happen in my life. Well, it didn't happen. But I can sure tell you that understanding of something shifting has given me insight of how to negotiate if something does happen, whatever that if is. Okay. So who and what is it that is moving you forward? Is it discomfort? Well, discomfort will be something that irritates you. I've had discomfort at the school I work at. But the thing is, though, there's a part of me that wasn't ready to move on. And so what I decided to do was change my intention that I was going in. I started having different conversations. I started having my different intentions. So when I walked into a room, I would have a different intention than what I did, besides just sitting there going, oh, this is kind of boring. I started seeing myself a little bit different. I started telling people a little bit more about myself. Like I had somebody, a school or a teacher come up to me and say, Natasha, I just need your positivity today. And then as she's walking away, she says, thank you so much. You should do such and such. And I said, well, actually, I am a spiritual counselor. And she goes, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So who and what are we as we're moving forward? Some things aren't split decisions. Some things aren't going to happen tomorrow. It's a buildup. It's a buildup so we can get our feet underneath us. Our guts are like our and I'm going to call it ego sometimes. Our ego behind us, so that we can have the voice that we've always needed to do. Those parts of us that have been quiet and passive aggressive, that they're actually not passive aggressive anymore. They're actually truth tellers. That's what passive aggressive is. They're truth tellers if we want to listen. And the more we listen, the less we become passive aggressive. Because that's a truth teller. And when we listen to the truth teller moments, we listen to the moments of truth, we find our way. Now, if you're having a session with me, I can give you more insight in the personal dance, right? That personal knowing. What is your personal truth telling you? How can you trust yourself as you move forward? How can you guide yourself through this? But I can tell you that the universe is around you very well. Like the other day, I went to dinner with a girlfriend and I started asking for parking, actually when I was needing parking, but I could have asked for parking when I got off the freeway, but I didn't. I started asking for parking. Well, guess what? I got to a parking place, yes. A little bit of a walk, yes. But as soon as I sat down in the restaurant, 4 parking places opened up because I asked for it. I could have asked a little bit earlier for the energies to shift. So remembering that sometimes we can ask for what we want. I want to have my feet underneath me when this change that I am feeling is coming. Please guide me. Please show me. So then be ready. What are some of the social media that you have? Right? That social media moment. How can you have the billboards that come up, the cars that are driving by you? You know, like if you're looking at buying a car, you see a whole bunch of those cars. Do you want that car? Or is it telling you because there's a lot of cars on the road that, like for me, having Subaru, I have a Subaru. How many Subarus in Washington State? It's because a lot of people like Subarus in Washington State. They feel safe in them. I'm one of them. I will own another Subaru because I love my Subaru. We come into our fruition and our life when we are ready to walk forward. When we're ready to walk forward. So shift up your intention where you're at. Look at the story of where you're at. What is stirring the pot for you to release? Because if you're emotional in one spot, you're going to be emotional in the next spot because you haven't worked on it. So then life is going to mirror you. So it's better to work on the things where you're at so you can get your feet underneath you. So when change happens, you have the ability. Because things are going to be happening for the better if we can negotiate it. So at this moment, I'm looking at the clock and boy, time is moving today. Whew. I think it's time to channel Mikael. So Mikael is here to support you in your life's journey. He is an insight from the star beings. I do not know what he's going to say. He just said it was time for him to talk today. He is remembering that he is channeling through me. So if you don't believe in channeling, please just listen to the words. I honor you in your belief system, but this is what I believe in, is that I'm channeling. I am not so much a full channel yet. I do channel, but yet I'm still a little bit present because I'm running a show and I need to be aware of certain things. Okay. And so with that, I'm going to step aside so I can be a clear channel and a clear voice for Mikael. I should have asked if you have any questions. I will not see them on the post, but yet at the same time, though, maybe Mikael will intuitively get them. But he has an agenda, and I'm going to believe that. Okay, give me a second here. And after that, I will be pulling oracle cards. It will be the oracle deck that I've been having, the messages of Avalon. So, okay. Hello, lovelies. You have done a lot of shifting and changing on this planet today and tomorrow and the next days and the years after. And as you go forward into who you are and what you're doing, you're going to notice that there's going to be some shifting more coming in. You have done a lot in the years before this of the lineage of what you perceive as the time moving forward. That those changes have set you up for this moment. Big shifts are coming in because of who and what you are now on this planet. These big shifts may shift up the people or it may not. That is the understanding. I love the way that this one said in a session the other day is that she said, why worry about being on these next levels of the 5th, the 10th dimension? When sometimes all you can do is really sit down and eat dinner, right? Or you may need to drive somewhere. And who wants to be in the 11th dimension as the time is changing and shifting, and you have cars coming in at you that you don't even see because they're in another dimension, and then you are driving at the speed that you should, and then somebody comes whizzing by because they're in another dimension that they are actually driving faster, and then there's another dimension where somebody's driving slower. Sounds like a big shift, right? Yes, it is. So what we are asking you to do is to honor where you are at the time you're at, and let go of the language. Let go of the language of the shoulds and the coulds. Because if you let go of that language, you are in the perfect moment of where you're at. Sometimes you are very human dealing with the emotion that you are. Many are going through the grief process, yes. Mother's Day on this planet in the United States here was a day of grief for many, but grief is not something that you would think of being a mother, right? The women of this world have held the energy of feminine, the feminine understanding of the wisdom. Now the men have held the story of expectations of the masculine. The women are in this moment dealing with the stories of the feminine. The stories of the masculine will be negotiated, I love that word that she says, a little bit more towards the end of this year. So you're going to find some of the heavy masculine energies of this planet will be shifting into a lighter understanding. Some of the men of this world will not have their feet underneath them for a little while, and they will be disorientated. But that is part of why the women were called to come into their fruition earlier. Because you know how to keep your feet underneath you, most of you, most of the time. There is no expectation for your feet to be underneath you all the time, is there? No. There's sometimes where you'll need to sit down and process. There are sometimes where you are in the middle of something happening and all you can do is interact and react. And be lucky to keep your feet underneath you. I, Mikael, are not having expectations on you at the moment that you are. That is an understanding that you women have held for many centuries on this planet. You have had the knowing that without you, the house would not work as well. Yes, there's some men that can run a house plenty fine without the woman. There is something balancing about having the feminine energy in the house. That is part of the Adam and Eve story that is on this planet, right? That Adam and Eve story, the masculine snake, the masculine one, the serpent, who was and is on the tree of life, and then the feminine Eve, who was unsure of her story, unsure of who she was. Then you had the masculine Adam, who wanted to be in ego. And the masculine snake was able to tease and to, what's the word on your planet? Deceive Adam and deceive Eve. You are again in the Chinese New Year of the snake, about shedding the old skin, about understanding that sometimes you have to be on the ground doing the work to get to your next tree or your next journey. There is more about this snake energy that is very vital to what you are going through right now. Remembering that there are different sizes of snakes, everything from the little baby gardener snake that is in this Washington state here to maybe the rattlesnake, maybe then to another snake, down up to the many feet of the anaconda, who can eat man, alligator, take on. But what was the journey of that giant anaconda? I ask you. Many shedding of the snake's skin, many understandings of things, because it started out as a baby, just small. You look at a tadpole frog turning into a toad, huge toad, or a smaller frog. The journey of life is called the destination of moments, the moments that you are in. So if you're feeling like change is coming to you, remember to come back to you, the center you, the understanding you, the believing you, the understanding that who you are, perfectly aware of nothing some days, perfectly aware of everything other days. It's about honoring who you are in a moment. And as you feel this change coming on, like this dear one will go to the chiropractor later next week or early next week, she is already feeling her body shifting. Many a time when you are ready for something to happen, a retreat, an understanding, a trip somewhere, you may feel that change coming forward. Starting here, the unearthing of some of the stories that you had, some breaking down some of the mental images that you'll keep coming into, breaking up some of these understandings. And yes, Pluto is in retrograde right now. We just had this powerful full moon on your planet. Everybody felt it because it's about shift and change. Through this conversation that this dear one had and the one I have, did we say at all about worrying and being out and saying, what should I do next? No, it's about coming back, because what you do next will lead you to the next step of your walk. The more that you are centered, the more you are here, the more that you are honed into this being in this world, you will find more that there are more things going to come to you to support you in your change. You will get understandings. You will be tapped into wisdom that comes to you, because you will see the wisdom coming to you, not at you. Breath, understanding. This dear one today was funny to watch this morning as she was meditating and sleeping and woke up a little later than she wanted to. But guess what? Because she did not panic, because she didn't do things that distracted her as much as usual, she got to work on time. That is how you deal with change, if you can, is believe that everything will work out for the better. Belief is part of this. We are in a big shift of the realities. What you contemplate, what you think about, will set things up for you. It's about the trust of that. It's about the understanding of that. It's about the believing of that. Change will happen around you the more you find yourself here, the boat in the ocean, then the ocean will move you to your next journey. But it's trusting the moment that you are, and that will lead you to the next thing. As you are ready to open up to your journey, you will come into your next thing. I love you, my people. I love who you are. And remember that I am here with you, showing you the way. You are part of the evolution of this planet, and you are doing a good job. Remember to take care of you. Many are struggling with what to eat. Many of you are struggling with sleep. Many of you are struggling with standing up in your own knowing. Remember that it's about softness, gentleness, and believing. If you believe you have gut health, you will have gut health. If you believe that you can be you and have energy, yes, you may have energy for that day, but believe that you may need to rest the next. The shifts and the changes that are going on are bigger and more than you know or can realistically understand. Your planet is shifting from the core to the outer worlds, just like you. And Mother Earth Gaia will hold you here for as long as she possibly can, which is many lifetimes from now in the physical body. Come home to you, my dear ones. Come home to you. It is time for you to be home to you so you can walk to the next physical interaction that is meant for you. Blessed bees. And remember, you can ask for help, healing, guidance, wisdom. When you say those thoughts at the beginning of the day and at the end, your mindset and the energies around you can be very helpful for you. This dear one started off her day of asking for wisdom, asking for insight, asking for the abundance to come. What did she have? Wisdom, insight, and the ability to negotiate what was in front of her. See the energy for what it was and ask for healing for what it is. Change is always happening. How do you stay centered in the midst of that change? That is how you get ready for the life that's in front of you. As you center yourself and breathe your way through it so that you know where to put your next step in the life of your journey. Blessed be. I am Mikael, Council of the Councils, to support this Earth's change. Wow. Thank you for being here. Wow. Kind of went to him a little bit more. He came to me, but we were both here, I guess. Thank you. You're more than welcome. Card, please. Yes, Veronica. Thank you, Paula. Yes, I always appreciate his guidance. He talks to me outside of my show, too, and it's been nice to have his guidance. It's been really nice to have his guidance. So this is for Mikael, or for Veronica. So if you're on the podcast later, remember you're not going to get a half a deck, girl. I'm sorry. you can go to my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter, IC, to see what cards are pulled. And remember that if a card is pulled for somebody else and it resonates with you, do you think that the universe wants to talk to you, Veronica? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. That remembering that if a card aligns with you, remember it can mean more to just one person. Sometimes we have some mirroring lives going on right now. Okay, so the first card was truth. You're walking into your truth, and that is going to be your gift. So remembering that there might be regrets, there might be stories around your truth, but as you're cleaning out the old gutters of what you know and what you've seen, you notice I'm pointing to your head or the head, right? The more you get the other people's stories out of it, the more you'll find your truth, because magic is coming into your world. The Merlin, right? The alchemy, that being of who you are, that story of who you are, right? That you're gaining your magic because you're in the transformation. You're in that transformational stage, and this is a butterfly card, so you're coming into your butterfly moment, because you are shifting up your perception to understand that you can do it. You believe in yourself. Oh my gosh, girl, I have witnessed you coming from uncertainty to, you know what? I know they have that perception. That's okay. I'll do the better that I can, right? I can do the better that I can. He is with me too. Yes, Paula, thank you. So there's some cards for you. Paula, would you like a card too? Yes, that's what you just said. Boy, intuition, maybe just a little bit here. Okay. Does anybody else want a card who's watching? And what I do is I just tap into your energy. You tap into this energy, and the cards speak. And it's like, whew, they're speaking today. Okay, this is for Paula. Woo! Like I said, they're speaking today. Oh my gosh. Okay, you have about a couple of them that fell on the ground here. Oh, girl. Okay. Okay. So there's some cards that are upside down, right? And there's some cards that are upright. So the upright cards were okay, so you're going to have death of the burden. Okay, the death of the burden. Okay, so you're going to have death of the burden. So the one death is the what is it? The 43, oh no. 4 plus 6 is 10. So the one card, so death of your burden, because it's time for you to find joyfulness. If you focus on that joyfulness, because cow is nourishing you in your journey. So it's about what you eat, it's about who you are, but it's about the prosperity. And remembering it's about finding that, finding out about that moment of who you are, and being who you are, and knowing that your environment can really help you, because Earth Fairy wants to come and support you. She wants to come and support you. She's coming in with her, and one thing that I'm noticing here is her sphere here, that it's about crystal. So it's about honing into what you know and who you are. She's not face on, so she's not coming at you. She's supporting you. She's knowing that you got it. But also, too, it's almost looking like, to me, in this perception of this card in this reading, that she's almost walking away. So there again, you started off this reading with the death and the burden card. So you're walking away something that is very earthly bound. And she says physical health, grounding, and foundation. So what shifts in your foundation of who you are? Because you're coming into your truth too. You're coming into your truth too. And there's wisdom coming in. Ooh, this big shift is all about finding wisdom. It's about finding our own truth. And it may not be comfortable for everyone, but it's sure a blessing, right? It's sure a blessing. So Jessica, hi, how are you, my dear? Thank you for being here. Okay, so this is for Jessica. Oh, I got to add the cards back in. I hope that helped you, Paula. Okay, so now this is for Jessica. Oh, you're more than welcome, Veronica. Yeah, things are shifting up, and it's going to be interesting how we negotiate this time forward. Okay, this is for Jessica. What does the cards want to say? What does Spirit want to say for Jessica? I knew Hawk was going to come out because Hawk was being visible when I was shuffling. So you are done with the fear of the masculine energy. Okay, but the card's upside down, so you're still working on a little bit of that. But that masculine energy is starting to wane a little bit. And you don't have as much fear that it can overpower you. Okay. And so if you can negotiate some of that story is popping back up for you, I feel. And so that's why this card came upside down, because you're not totally done with a lot of that fear of the masculine energy, or some of that story is popping back in. So you may have something that's coming back around telling you you're not good enough, right, Jessica? You're negotiating that because Hawk wants you to get the bigger vision, the bigger understanding of where you're at, that omen, that message, like the hawk. Get the bigger vision, get the bigger message. So if you are dealing with some big stories here, some of that shadow work that you need to go through, some of that you're not good enough conversation in your head, that I'm unable to do that conversation, or I'm unwilling to do that, or a lot of those things, then get the bigger vision and ask yourself, what would my future self want to do? Oh, that's a big one. I've done that a couple times. I've somebody couldn't make a decision. I said, what would your future self want to ask? So if your future self is standing tall and being aware of that, it doesn't matter really, because they got out of the fear, your future self got out of the fear, then start doing that now. Move that timeline up, right? Shifting for sure. Yes. So, because your focus, what you focus on is what you get. What you focus on is what you get, right? What you focus on is what you get. I hope that helps, Jessica. You're on the brink of a lot of this, but it's cleaning up a lot of that story that you have that is repeating itself right now. Okay. So Olivia, thank you for being here. Thank you very much for being here. Okay. Yes, you would like one. Okay. So this is for Olivia. So put your intention in. Just, what does the universe want to give me? Right. I hope today's show, I know it was a little choppy today, and I didn't give really a distinct answer on how to work through to get to your next step, but coming back to you in breath is always going to guide you to your next step. Breath in brings you to yourself. Breath out brings you to your next step. Breath in brings you awarenesses to what to do next. Breath out gives you the ability to do those next steps. You see the coming in and the going out? That's the blessing. Okay, so Olivia. Okay, you got one. These cards are like, oh my gosh, today. Oh, they are like, if somebody, this was a reading. I'd have the time to do them all. But I don't. You think they want to talk? Okay, this one here. So I have one that fell in my lap. Okay, so the one that fell in my lap is the serpent, the snake, right? The year of the snake. It's time to shed those old skins. It's time to really come into who you are. Sometimes we have to shed the old skins of our parents, our life before. Really, our childhood was another lifetime. Our teenagehood was another lifetime. Our 20s were another lifetime. Wherever you're at, remember, whatever it was in another lifetime. It's a memory. That's all that it is. It's an experience that we're asking to work through, right? But it's time to shed our skin. And remember, you don't have to stay on the ground. This is a tree snake, right? It's up in the trees. So get your other vision of where you're at and what you're doing. So snake is about knowledge and healing. So 23, and it's a 5. So 2 + 3 = 5. So give yourself that understanding that as you're going through this transformation, and as I always say, when a snake sheds its skin, those old stories, sometimes it can't see because there's extra skin on the eyes, because every time the snake sheds, it shades the skin off its eyes. So it has a chance to get a new vision. Sometimes we have to take off our glasses to get another vision. Sometimes, like I saw somebody who got glasses so he can see color for the first time. So put on your glasses, take off your glasses, whatever you need to do to get a different vision, because you're going to go through these changes, because it's time to nourish yourself with the idea of who you are. Your thoughts create who you are. Your understandings create who you are. So remembering that cow has 4 stomachs. So remembering that takes time to sometimes digest. Honor those digestion moments. And if something doesn't digest right, remember it's time maybe to have boundaries around it, because it's time to get the bigger vision for you also. Like Hawk. Hawk likes to. And remember, birds, they center themselves. They're not necessarily grounded, but when they're flying up in the sky, there's nothing to ground them, but they are centered. They are so centered, because the top card here is calling to me. You're getting a different perception, my dear. You're getting a different perception, which is going to help you. It doesn't make everything comfortable around you. It will not make everything comfortable around you. But remember the thing, though, is that you've made it this far, and you'll make it again. Because the world has taken care of us before this, and it will take care of us after this. We have to remember that. Make sure we do the things that practice keeping our feet underneath us. Stay centered. The trees blow in the wind, but their roots sure know what to do. Unless it's time for that tree to say, I'm done. And that's time for change. So remember, life is going to be these moments. And it's time to honor yourself for where you're at. Okay? Well, blessing everybody. They are speaking. Yes, thank you. So I hope everybody finds their joy. And remembering that as we go through these changes, sometimes we have to check in. Is this my energy? Is this my grief? Is this my emotion? Or is it somebody else's? There's a lot of emotions out there. And sometimes people don't know how to defer through them. So check in. If you're feeling heavy, is this mine or is this somebody else's? If it's mine, I can honor it. If it's somebody else's, it can leave. And maybe sometimes we can feel that little bit of difference. And also, cow came up a couple times in these readings. So it's about how are we nourishing our food, right? So if you're feeling like you got to drink a lot of coffee, that was a conversation I had earlier. If you feel like you need to drink a lot of those energy drinks, check in. Does your adrenals need a little TLC? Does your liver need a little TLC? Does your thyroid, does your iron, does your vitamin D need a little TLC? Think about those things. Sometimes we go on the outside to help us on the inside. Come back to here. Cow is about coming back to here. Come back to the core of us. Those 4 stomachs, come back to the core of us. A lot of times we have a hard time digesting our life. Get into that life. I'm Natasha Venter, intuitiveclarifications.com. So grateful for my life right now, for the insights that are coming, because you know what? Shifts are coming. Changes are happening. And I'm grateful I have insight. And I would love to support you in yours. And so please look for my my short little videos about things that are happening and maybe some insight. And I'm here again next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. I think it's the third Wednesday. I'm going to ask Regan. I haven't asked Regan yet if he is able to come. So it would be Regan Forston's time. And we were going to talk about how are we programmed. So whenever Regan comes, we'll talk about how are we programmed. And so I'm hoping and praying. And Regan Forston is a hypnotherapist who we've done shows together. We used to do the Dance of the Soul every Monday for about 3 years. Now we're doing every third Wednesday of the month. So he comes on, and he's a good friend of mine. Blessed be on your journey. Remember, no matter where you're at and what you're doing, you're a miracle. Believe it. This is a time to really believe that you are a miracle. Blessed be. IntuitiveClarifications.com. May you find blessings. And remember, if this is something that you know, to share it to somebody, or please like and follow. It helps me feel like I am helping somebody. Bye now.